Toi Te Ao Puoro, SOUNZ.
E ngā reo, e ngā mana, rauranga tirama, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome to Puoro Ki Te Ao, presented by Toi Te Ao Puoro, Sound Centre for New Zealand Music, ko Tony Huata ahau. It has been a great honour to speak with some of our leading experts in Taonga Puoro. Today we are listening to Horomona Horo, Rongo Mai.
He tuatahitanga tēnei, tēnei te mihi ake ki te kaupapa kua whakakotahi nei I tēnei o ngā kōrero. Nō reira, he uri tēnei no ngā maunga whakahihi o te nōta, te pūtahitanga o ngā rangatira, I te pū o te wheke, taku hapura, ko te uri o hua arara, ko oku nei whānau o ngā hapu kato o kai kohe, o Ngāti Hine, tai atu ki a Ngāpuhi Nui tonu. Peka atu rā ki te tairawhiti, arara te maunga e whakanui ana I a tamanuitera, arā te maunga o hikurangi, te awa o waiapu, arara ko taku whanga, ki tūpāroa, te whānau rua taupare, Ngāti Oe Pohatu e mihi atu ana ki Ngāti Parau. O tira ka mutu ake ki tērā taha o te maunga titoia, ara ko taranaki te maunga, taranaki te iwi, Ngāti Aupoto, te hapu, ko Oakura ra o tū pariaka o kupā, tēnei te reo o Horomona Horo e mihi atu ana. I suppose in the creation of Kia Rongo Mai, I had so much things going on at the time, doing waiata for different projects, and when the question was asked for this particular kaupapa, for some strange reason it made me just sit in my own space. I was excited to be asked to be a part of the kaupapa, and at the same time I was like, oh, what can I do? And putting it into the way, it made me remember one of the waiata from the first album of Taonga Puoro that came out, which was known as Tuku Te Whē, from my mentors being both Papa Hirene Melbourne and Papa Richard Nuns. And the simplicity in the waiata, but in its simplicity there were so many intricacies that were involved. And so it made me sit and realise, because I was thinking 1,000 things I could do, realise, taihua, hold back, listen, what is it that you're wanting to ask? And so I was like, oh, I still hadn't had the name. I was looking at my whānau, being all my puoro, going, who wants to be a part of this kaupapa? You know, and the last instrument that Papa Hirene shared kōrero of before his leaving was an instrument called the pūmotomoto. And so the pūmotomoto was there going, oh, kei ahau he kōrero, I've got something to say. And then I was like, oh cool, so I just held her in my hands, and then I was going, okay, we'll start from there, who else wants to play? And then once I picked up the instruments that I use in it, you know, they all came from different whānau within the wider collective of ngā Taonga Puoro Māori. And so by that stage I was like, cool, now what are we going to say? And then I played each of the instruments, and then the question I had is, do I keep it simple, one instrument at a time, or do I layer it? The project has allowed me, the kaupapa has allowed me to add kupu. And so I had a number of books in my office and just went through, and then some of the karakia that I'd written over the years had popped up, and they're just ones that would sort of like pop up and I'd stare and start reading. I would mark, I might come back to you, and then because I was a part of kaupapa rangatahi when I was young, I said, drip everything right back. And so I started jamming and adding the karakia, and it sat with me, and I was just like, oh, this actually sounds pretty cool. Wonder if I should record it. Oh, nah. And then I ended up going off to another kaupapa. I had to do another kaupapa with First Nations and overseas, and when I was over there, that actually gave me the validation, because they were going through their own sovereignty, they were going through their own revitalization of their language, of their cultural traditions and customs, and I was like, oh. Coming back to New Zealand, what I was doing was actually enough. And then when I recorded it, the name didn't come until I was actually in the studio, and then it was actually me talking to me in the end, saying, hey Horo, are you listening? Are you listening to yourself? Are you staying true to what you said? And it was Horo. You know, sometimes we forget to listen to that inner person. And so when it was recorded, I let it go, went home, waited in the middle of the night, pushed play, had a good listen, and I was like, by the end I was like, cool, this is what I'm going to send. And yeah, sometimes it takes a lifetime to create a song, and sometimes it takes looking into yourself and challenging yourself and realizing you are enough, realizing what you have to contribute in your own unique way is enough, but sometimes we forget to acknowledge that. And so Kia Rongo Mai is a piece about you are enough, listen to your instinct, and sometimes less is more, and we just have to be confident in ourselves and have enough belief in ourselves to make your voice heard and to allow your voice to be heard, not by anyone else, but by ourselves. And so that's what Kia Rongo Mai is all about. Well, in Kia Rongo Mai, I play a series of taonga puoro, and in the series I start off with an instrument known as the pūmotomoto, and then I come in with some kupus, with some karakia, and the karakia is there to accompany the sounds, and the pūmotomoto is one of our most simplistic instruments, and yet when you hear its most softest voice, it's simplicity and chaos. And sometimes that is something as reflecting on when I was a rangatahi. It was something that was always, you got 1,000 things happening all the time, and that 1,000 things is happening all in your head. And sometimes it just takes breathing in and breathing out to give us that time, give us that moment, give us that space to, oh, hang on, what am I up to? What am I doing? What's my next journey? And so there are moments in this piece where I have instruments overlaying one another, and it's reflecting, and in between that you'll hear a breath going back, as simple as breathing in and breathing out. And then the next chapter begins, and the next chapter takes you on a little bit more of a journey, and then that cycle happens, and then another breath, to allow oneself to know what you've just done and release yourself to go into the next chapter. And so in reflecting in its most simplistic form, allowing ourselves during the chaos of time, you know, with so many things that are happening in our world, we have to reflect back to us and sort of like saying, well, how do I make this uniquely mine? How do I show and share my voice? How do I share my sound? How do I share my thought, my dream in this world of chaos? And it doesn't have to be through chaos. And so for our rangatahi these days, it's allowing, you know, these set of instruments that are made from nature. We live in such a world of technology today that there are sound files of flies, there are sound files of trees being chainsawed down that people are using in their soundtracks. There are sounds of waves crashing upon the shore. There are soundtracks of nearly every sound created that people are layering into their versions of different styles and genres of music today, all digitally enhanced. And I just wanted to remind us, even using the most basic instruments that are made from nature, created by nature, that will go back into nature when it's finished use, when it's finished being used as an instrument, and will go back into the ecology of the natural world. Everything has a cycle, and when the cycle completes itself, when the full circle closes, it allows you to know that you've finished one cycle and you've just opened yourself into the next part of your own chapter. And so for the rangatahi, I wanted to, I suppose, share a reflective, meditative piece of music that hopefully within the simplicity and the chaos of that simplicity, let them reflect on their own journeys and sort of like saying, whoa, this is an out of it piece. Why was it out of it? What connection can I make, if a connection at all? And that if they did their own version of it, how would they do it? And so, yeah, it's an open book to each set of ears that are listening to it. Kia Rongo Mai. When you hear the very first breath, it is the lightest breath you can make upon the instrument known as the pumotomoto. And yet, in its most lightest form of your breath leaving your tinana into the funnel of this instrument made out of rako, made out of wood, the sound that comes out is like chaos. It's like a Irish jig. Yet it's made from the most simplistic motion of your breath leaving your lips. And so, I hear so many of those sayings, chaos and serenity, whereas the most lightest breath can create chaos. When you look at a pond, on top it reflects the environment above it, but little do a lot of people know that underneath that glistening mirror that we see on the outside of the water, there are undertones and currents that are under that water that create the ecology of the fish life, of the plant life that lives in that environment of that water. And in this particular piece, I talk about te waipuna, te waitipua, te wairatarata, all these different forms of water. I do these little snippets of water, I do these little snippets of the process or the growth of a seed within the karakia that I say, to give aspects and insights into the natural flow of things. And so, chaos can be seen as something really light. Through to it, chaos doesn't just have to be something that is exploding or in calamity. Chaos can be reflected in the look of one's eyes when one looks at somebody. When we talk to people, sometimes we don't actually know the journey of that person and what they're going through at the time, and sometimes it gets hidden through a beautiful smile. It gets hidden through someone that looks, that is a mentor, or that is a leader, or that is somebody of high esteem. Little do people know, sometimes even they fall, even they cry, even they run to places just to hide away and get a rest. Sometimes they have to find time to just be, and so chaos can be hidden in a smile. Chaos can be hidden in a hug. And so it's really about internal reflection and how you present yourself to your world, and allowing yourself to know your own chaos and your own struggles, at the same time how you bring it out in a more resolute way.
Whakaohoho te hā. Whakaohoho te Māori. Whakaohoho te iho wairua.
Kia au nei, mo te areare tanga o ngā tāringa ki tēnei waiata o kia rongo mai. Ko te hiehia, ko te whakaaro anō hoki, ka mōhio te tangata, te hiranga o te hāki roto, me te hāki waho. Mehe me ko tira anahi, kua rahi. Engari mehe mea ka whakaaro ake mō ngā kupu o te karakia, ka whakaaro ake mō te rere o ngā taonga puoro kei roto i te waiata, ko te hiehia, ko te whakaaro, ko te wawata, ka kimi hia, ka rapu hia e te tangata me ona taringa are mai ki te waiata, ka whakaaro ake e ia he aha tana utu mo te rongo i te waiatara. Ka tukuna atu te pātai ki tōna ao, ka whakautu atu i runga anō i te, he aha tēnei mea te puoro, me kimi au, he aha tērā puoro. He aha tōna āhua, he aha tōna kaupapa, he aha tōna whakapapa. Kei roto anō hoki te rere o te waiata, nā whānau rereke o ngā puoro rereke, ka whai te tangata, o he aha te hononga o tērā puoro ki tērā atu puoro e mahi ana ki roto i tēnei waiata. And so it's about reflection, connection. Now, a lot of the old karakia of our people, or takutaku, or even waiata of our people, talks about this thing of our spiritual thread to our environments. It talks about, ko te herenga waka, our connection to our canoes of ancestry. And so when people listen, or especially for our rangatahi, when they listen to it, from the simplicity of reflecting on just breathing, inhaling, exhaling, and contemplating, fire out, what's this about? In doing that, allows their body to sit in a toe space. And automatically, they're in that meditative flow. And so, if they get to that space, I'm like, yes, wana. Or if they want to get deeper, and they want to learn, well, what's the connection between that instrument that's played in the beginning to that instrument that's played in the middle and towards the end? Hopefully it'll get them questioning, well, what is that instrument called? Where's it from? Is that made out of wood? Is it made out of bone? Start getting them asking questions in their mind. I actually want to, does it come with a book? Or does it come with what instruments are being played in it? And if it is, they'll go and have a look, and it's called a pū moto moto, it's called a tumu tumu, it's called a pū torino. And then they'll jump online and look. Boom, I've already connected them, opened up their doorway, te tatau o hōkai rangi, te tatau o hōkai nuku. So I've enabled them to open up the doorway into the horizons of the skies, into the horizons of the landscape of their world, to here, kia rongo mai. And so in their journey of opening up Google to look for what is a pū moto moto, boom, they've opened up the doorway for themselves to make the next step. And so if they do that, I'll be the most, you'll see my cheeks hurting because of my smile being so big, because that's how I felt when Hedley Melbourne played to me. That's how I felt when Richard Nuns played to me. Because even though they played through a CD that they had created, to me at that time, in that moment in space, I was running away from my world. And when I heard that, it made me cry, it made me sit, it made me reflect, and I was going, bam, what is that sound? I've got to learn, I've got to find out what it is. And it's taken me over 25 years to learn, and I'm still on the journey, and I'm still learning, and I'm still able to allow others to learn with me, beside me, alongside me, and others have come and have been guided by me You know, something I never ever thought I'd be when I was starting. And so in this piece, aha kua he aha te momo, me he mea ka tukuna te hā ki arere, kua nawhi, kua pai. Me he mea kua ruku hohonu ki te ao puoro, ka pai. Hara kua te ngākau, hara kua te tinana, hara kua te wairua. And so whether it's as simply as loving the music for what it is, that's enough. Or whether it allows them to open up their pathway to endeavour down the journey of learning the depths of Taonga Puoro, the soul and the heart will be in elation and loving it every step of the way, because they'll end up connecting with me somewhere along the pathway and, you know, being a part of the journey. So it's beautiful.
That was Horomona Horo. Thank you, Horo, for your wise words and for sharing with us how your life has been enriched by Taonga Puoro. Puoro Ki Te Ao, a series produced by Toi Te Ara Puoro, SOUNZ Centre for New Zealand Music. To find out more about today's episode or for more about the music of Aotearoa New Zealand, go to sounds.org.nz. That's sounz.org.nz. Ko Tony Huata ahau, thanks for listening. Please sit back and take in Kia Rongo Mai. Whakarongo mai rā.
Tākinara ko te kawa, mai te kawa tū, atahi ki te kawa tū a ngā huru. Ko te tipua, ko te mataho. Ko te ururu Māori, ko te ururu tau. Te kukune, te pupuke, te hihiri, te mahara, te hinengaro, te manako, te mataue. Ko te wai puna, ko te wai ariki, ko te wai tipua, ko te wai tangira, ko te wai ratarata, ko te wai ata, te wai ora, te wai rua e. whatukura o mareikura kia hiki nā. Tēnei te whakahaua kupu ngā roi mata o te ahorangi e maune. Te tatau o hokairangi, te tatau o hokainuku. Kia rongo mai
Toi te ara puoru, sounds.